What's going on, everybody? This is Kenny Cummings here, chilling with Kenny C right here on TMVcafe.com, bringing you entertainment to your ears. I hope everyone is literally trying to stay warm here in the East Coast, in the Midwest with this cold weather. We're still recovering, you know what I'm saying? So that's good to know. But I got my first wrestling interview of 2025, and I met this individual last year, Tri-State Wrestling out there in Indiana. He's a New Yorker, you know what I'm saying? He's the face of the franchise. He got a brand that's branching out from the East Coast to the Midwest and to anywhere he touch feet. He gonna put in that work. Very excited to be joined with the face of the franchise, Jarett Diaz. He's with me right now. How's it going, man?
It's going great. I gotta say, I like that intro. I like how it gassed me up. I like how it lists the nickname and the location. Very cool. And happy to see you again. We did meet at Tri-State a little while back. I was disappointed to find out Tri-State Wrestling is going to take a little bit of a hiatus. I learned this recently.
Yeah.
But when it comes back around, I'll be there. In the meantime, what's going on? What's up? What's up, Kenny?
I'm good, man. Just trying to stay warm. So I'm here in Kentucky, and we had we was literally in the middle of the winter storm, so it got us literally. Couldn't escape from it, but the world starting to clear up a bit, so that's good to know. How you doing out there in New York, man?
I mean, I'm no happier. Snow's coming and going. I wouldn't say we were exactly hit by a major winter storm, but it is freezing. It is miserable. It's brick outside. And as much as, I'm a born and bred New Yorker, and I have always uh, loved and appreciated it here, I never really got used to the cold. I never acclimated personally. I don't enjoy it. So I'm ready for the spring and the summer to come roll around. But until then, we're getting by. We're getting by how we can. Staying warm, layers, heat on, all of that.
Yeah. So, uh, we gotta do what we gotta do, man. Um, we in mid-January, getting close to mid-January, so about 2, 3 months away just to
We're
deal with
almost through.
this.
We're
So
almost through.
we
We're
almost
almost
through.
through.
So, Mr. Diaz, sir, yeah, like you pointed out, we cross paths Tri-State Wrestling out there in Indiana. Shout out to Jarett and all the promoters there. Yes, they are taking a hiatus. They usually would start around this time, but they gotta take care of some things. So um, look forward to seeing them back, which means you'll be coming back as well out here in the Midwest. So before we move ahead to 2025, I want to go back in 2024. What do you consider your favorite moments, favorite highlights, matches, just anything that stood out to you and made you say, you know what, 2024 was a good year?
Sure, sure. Good question. Let's reflect a little bit. I haven't done that enough, I think, as we head into the new year. 2024 was interesting. I won my first world championship, that being the One Division Pro World Championship. I am the face of the franchise, but specifically, I'm the face of that company. And I'm looking forward to defending that title. As you said, a chance to plug my upcoming stuff. February 23rd, I'll be defending that title in Jamaica, Queens. That was really cool, debuting at One Division and winning the title in my very first night there against Hyena Hex. That was a really awesome opportunity. What else? What else? My return to CZW, competing at Cage of Death in the Wired title number one contenders match. That was a really cool opportunity. Um, oh man, 2024 was busy. I went to England twice. That was outstanding. Can't forget about that. I competed overseas in England in April. Sorry, in March, just before Mania week. I had my first real Mania week where I had multiple bookings on location in Greater Philadelphia. That was exceptional. That was a really awesome time for me. And then the summer was busy. The summer was definitely busy. And then back in September, got to go to England again. Another cool situation where I got to wrestle overseas. Honestly, ultimately, just the growth of the Jarett Diaz brand, I would say, was the development was the most important piece, the most important moment of 2024, sort of branching the brand, branching the character out into what you see now, which is this elevated professional athlete, businessman, face of every company that I stand in, every ring, every promotion that I work for, becoming the forefront of that company, and really coming into my own as what is the Jarett Diaz brand. I would say that's been the most important part of this year, this past year.
Absolutely, man. As a performer, as a competitor, you want to test the waters a little bit, whether it's here in America or whether it's overseas. Let people know who you are, what you all about, what you bring to the table, to any promotion that you come across. So, ever since I met you at the Tri-State, definitely been following you in your journey. And look, like any other brand, you want to expand. You want to show people that step out of the comfort zone. I feel like if you're going to succeed in any business, you gotta spread out a bit. You gotta spread the wings
Absolutely,
a little
absolutely.
bit.
And coming off of a 2023 where I was able to wrestle per Wrestling Revolver and wrestle for AEW a number of times, 2024 was about continuing to grow my name. And that's why making the international trips, debuting for House of Glory, winning a world title, all of those things helped me grow uh, my brand, helped me market myself publicly. But in addition, just growing as a competitor, being able to wrestle at these high level places, being able to wrestle in front of international crowds, and continue to evolve as a performer, as a businessman, etc.
Yeah, man. So I'm gonna just tell people right now, man, if you ain't familiar with Jarett Diaz, get
What are you
familiar.
doing,
What are,
honestly?
what are you doing, man? I mean, look at this guy, man. Look at him. He got the see. You're clearly a sports fan, because I can tell
Yes,
with the captain on the captain logo there and the initials on the other side.
absolutely.
So
They call me the quarterback of the company, especially at One Division Pro Wrestling, and being able to be the leader of that locker room, be the effectively the team captain, not just of Jarett Diaz brand, but of the companies that I represent and that I wrestle for. I come from a football background. I played football in college, and obviously in my upbringing as well. And in the evolution of what I present myself as is really drawing the inspiration from your Tom Brady's, your Derek Jeters, your Cristiano Ronaldo's, being able to not just compete at the highest level, not just perform in ring at the highest level, but be the guy that they send out for media, be the guy that they send out for charity events, and really, really, truly represent the company in a way that independent pro wrestlers don't prioritize.
yeah, man. Like if you're going, there's one thing to say, I want to be that guy. I want to be the face of a company. It's another to actually show it, like showing up to these events. Do what's asked of the job, of the opportunity that's presented, and I'm loving this football pipeline that wrestling has had for the last several decades. It seems like whether it's collegiate or whether it's pro, like football and wrestling does have some parallels. Get a chance to showcase, hard hitting, getting to showcase that personality a little bit. I feel like with wrestling, you get to showcase the personality a lot more. I mean, you can't do too much of it in football, so they're gonna wave that yellow flag. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. But
So
but you're right on the money when it comes to the pipeline from football to wrestling, right? Guys like John Cena and Roman Reigns and The Rock, Goldberg, Steve Austin, all of which played college football at least, right? You're looking at some of the biggest names across professional wrestling's recent history, and the hard hitting, the discipline, the athleticism that it takes to succeed in football, it takes that in wrestling, right? And like you said, the personality comes through further in wrestling, sure, but look at the stars of professional football that we've admired historically, right? Your Chad Johnson, Terrell Owens,
yeah,
Deion Sanders, all guys that found their way despite having the helmet on, not being able to see their face that well, despite not knowing, what these football players might live like in their personal lives, still finding a way to bring their personalities to the forefront. And those are the guys that we fall in love with. So when you're able to take this discipline, the film study of it, the physicality of it in football, bring it over to pro wrestling, there's no question why these things work time after time after time.
Yeah, yeah, yes, indeed, man. It's funny how people hate wrestling, especially if you watch other sports. But if you watch other sports, some of our favorite athletes, in some way, shape, or form, are influenced by wrestling.
I see it all the
It's
time. I
it's
see it
all it's
all the time
everywhere.
in MMA, in boxing,
Yeah,
in traditional ball, court, or field sports. Like if you're drawing attention one way or another, more likely than not, you're doing professional wrestling in some
yeah,
capacity. And you may not be, hitting people with chairs or doing moves,
yeah,
but you're cutting promos, you're
yeah,
trash talking in a way. That is all drawn from the way that we've televised and presented professional wrestling since as far back as the WWF and
yeah,
early NWA days. I see it especially with the Pauls in boxing, Conor McGregor in MMA. It's no different. They're doing pro wrestling, and
yeah,
it makes so much sense as to why a guy like Logan Paul picks it up really quickly. It makes so much sense as to why Conor McGregor, despite yapping as he likes to do about pro wrestling, actually really enjoys it and has friends who are pro wrestlers. It's no question.
yeah,
The parallels are so there. And you say some people hate pro wrestling. I think there's a lack of respect for pro wrestling across these other sports sometimes, especially I think with broadcasters more than athletes, right? I think the ESPN broadcasters that have to cover pro wrestling in that rare case, whether it be WrestleMania week or SummerSlam week, and ESPN has to cover it or Fox Sports has to cover it. And, they look at it as lowbrow or however they want to judge it because they cover real sports.
yeah,
That's fine. But as a guy who's done both, who is a professional broadcaster in his own right, who is a professional independent wrestler and former college football player, even if you don't necessarily understand or like professional wrestling, there should be an elevated respect for the sport that also is an art. And a lot of people don't, a lot of athletes and sports broadcasters, people in that realm don't really realize the art and the athleticism that entails.
yeah. Especially the art side of things, just the storytelling, just that aspect, and what makes wrestling unique, and what makes people keep watching it, whether it's it on the TV screen or whether in person. Speaking of TV, I just literally finished watching the Eagles and Packers game, and
Me too.
then the Eagles just did a funny thing. So the interception was made, and the celebration was one eagle was giving another eagle the pedigree. Now the execution needed some work, but I think the guy that was receiving it got a little carried away.
It's
But
it's tough when you're in football equipment, I
yeah,
will
yeah,
say. It's a little
yeah,
tougher to move than when we're in
yeah,
the ring wearing
yeah.
next to nothing.
The cleats, the helmets, a little too much weight on. But hey, it's the thought that matters.
Yeah, and that influence, that love, that respect oftentimes is surprisingly is there, especially from the athletes.
Yeah, it got me feeling like the Adam Sandler meme just porting at the TV screen. Uh, but so you mentioned one DP World Heavyweight Champion. You
Yes,
got
sir.
a show coming up on February, I believe. And
Yes.
you mentioned you won that title on your very first night with the promotion.
Yes, I did.
Now, we both watched wrestling long enough to know that when you go to a new company, you start at the bottom, you work your way up, at least some, if it does happen. But here you are, man, fresh out the gate, the promoter looking at you like, look, man, we're gonna make you be, we're gonna go with you. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. I think what was interesting about One Division Pro is that I met their owner of their company and the president of their company, two different people, in Puerto Rico. They had their champion, Hyena Hex, defending the title. over on the island. And I was there. I was wrestling one of the guys on the show. And while there, I met the gentleman from One Division Pro, and we had this conversation, and Hyena Hex as well, the former champion, who I have a lot of respect for. Uh, and there was interest, and they said, "Hey, we'll have my people get in touch with you. We'll make sure that at some point in 2024, because this was back in January, actually about a year ago today, uh, when I met these people, they said sometime in 2024, we'll make sure that the Jarett Diaz brand, that Jarett Diaz is an active member of our roster." I said, cool, no problem. And the way that it works as an independent contractor, as an independent wrestler is, promotions come and go. Sometimes you'll reach out to them. Sometimes they reach out to you. And however you get that opportunity, however that work comes around, you take it. You take those opportunities to grow as a performer, to grow your brand, public notoriety, etc. So fast forward a couple of months, it's maybe April or May, and they get back in touch and they say, "Hey, we'd like to bring you in the summertime." I don't remember if it was June or July, but we'd like to bring you in the summertime for a show. We have some thoughts on matchups, but let's just get you into the building and we'll talk. So I head over to their headquarters in Queens. I have a creative meeting with the people who run the company. And effectively, they wanted to know my goals. They wanted to know what I wanted from One Division Pro, and they wanted to know what I wanted to bring to the table. And I effectively let them know. I said, hey, One Division Pro runs shows on their own, but they also do what a lot of professional wrestling companies don't do, and that is collaborate. They like to work with Shadow Pro Wrestling. They like to work with the companies I work with overseas. They like to work with a company in Puerto Rico where I met them. Like they understand the value of collaboration. They understand the value of networking in this industry from a company standpoint. So I let them know. I said, "Hey, I see what you're doing. I see that you want One Division Pro to be a brand represented not just in Queens, not just in New York, but all around the country. And I'm going to one up you and I'm going to say I can represent this company all over the world." I told them I am the type of person who, if I'm committed to, will fully commit back. So clearly they liked what they heard and they gave me the opportunity to put my money where my mouth is. They put me in a position to wrestle their champion, Hyena Hex, one of the staples of the brand, and I believe the longest reigning One Division Pro champion of all time. And however it happened, I'm not going to say that that there weren't um, let's say extracurriculars that I had nothing to do with. By the way, Hyena Hex had some beef with one Stephen Person, and Stephen Person managed to get himself involved in the match in one way or another. But obviously, I had nothing to do with that. I was as above board as I could have been. I took advantage of the opportunities I saw, and I beat Hyena Hex. I won the championship on my very first night. And when I got back to the headquarters after the fact, and I had this follow-up meeting in preparation to my championship defense against Jay Armani the following month. And in my conversation with them was, okay, you've earned the championship. You've earned the opportunity to present and represent this company. We know you're going to England. Put your money where your mouth is. Represent this company across the sea. We are willing to allow you to defend this title overseas. But you better not lose it. You better not leave it out there. Because if you leave it out in England, how are we going to get it back? And I said, okay, I understand. I appreciate you giving me the opportunity. I appreciate you giving me the choice. I'm going to take you up on that. I'm going to put One Division Pro on my back and take that trip overseas to England, fly that flag, and carry that championship belt out in Preston, Liverpool, and Blackpool, and defend that championship everywhere I went. And I was able to do so successfully with One Division Pro, putting even more trust in me when I come back. So now, every time that I have an opportunity going forward uh, to represent the company, I know that One Division Pro will co-sign it.
That's 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 good to know. Um, that just tells you that hey, they saw something in you. They saw what you could do. They saw what you are capable of. It goes back to that football analogy, like a running back or a quarterback for that matter. They gave you the plays and you execute. So, being the champion that you've been up to this point and still having that title, preparing for your next match with 1D uh, with 1DP, you know, like you're on to something, man. You're doing an extraordinary job, and uh, check out the event, man. Check it out. When is that next event?
100%. Yes. So this is One Division Pro reunion. It is February 23rd in Jamaica,
Mhm.
Queens. And like you said, it's just like that football analogy, right? I want to be the quarterback of the company. I want to be the face of the franchise. Put the ball in my hands. Give me the opportunity to make the right choices to execute the play. If I got to run it, I'm going to put it in my hands myself and I'm going to take off. If I got to find somebody to throw the ball to, so be it. But if I'm putting myself in a position to represent this company and the company trusts me to do so, then that's my obligation. That becomes my job. And if you know one thing about football, you know one thing about a guy like Bill Belichick, his catchphrase was what? Do your job.
There you have it, folks. Check out Jarett Diaz. He is on social media. He's on Instagram at Jarett Diaz Brand. He's on X/Twitter at Jarett Diaz. And he got his link tree link attached to the links there. You can get buy his shirts, pro wrestling tees, and it'll keep you tap in with what he's got coming up, whether here in America, whether it's overseas. You can just follow the brand, see it grow, see it evolves even more. 2025 is going to be a big year, just elevating year for Jarett Diaz. So I'm very excited about that. So you got any other upcoming events other than the 23rd, or what you got?
You know I do, Kenny. I am wrestling at the Greatest Wrestling Alliance in the Bronx this
Mhm.
coming weekend in a tag team match with my buddy Matt Awesome for the number one contendership for those tag team titles. I have a very busy weekend, January 31st, February 1st, February 2nd. I am in Concord, New Hampshire with Wrestling Federation of America on January 31st. I am at the Mecca at Ridgefield Park in New Jersey on February 1st for New Age Wrestling. And I am at Federated Wrestling Alliance, FWA, in Maryland, in Havre de Grace, Maryland, on February 2nd. That's just my next couple weekends.
Gotcha. He's taking over the whole New England area, it seems like. So,
I am wherever
uh,
I'm wanted,
whatever.
and Kenny, I'm everywhere.
Yes, yes, he is. He is literally everywhere, man. That's the thing of having a brand. Can't just stay in the same spot. Gotta go
No, sir.
places. So, I want to thank you for being on this podcast for this evening. My first wrestling guest of 2025. So very, very busy, man. Props to you for everything you've done, and especially with 1DP, and continue success with that reign and with your brand in 2025 and beyond. Um, hopefully when you make your way back somewhere in the Midwest at some point, whether it's Tri-State Wrestling or whether it's some other promotion that wants your services. So
You
thank
know
you.
I will, and I look forward to seeing you there. Thank you for the time. I appreciate you platforming me. I appreciate you giving me the time to talk about myself. You know I love to do that. And what I'm doing going forward. Kenny, I look forward to checking back in with you later down the road.
Yes, sir. You have a good night and
Well,
stay warm in this weather, man. All
thanks.
right.
I'll try. You too.
All
You
right.
too.
Peace.
All
Peace.
right.
All right.